Good evening, Alaska. I wanted to give an update on what's going on in D.C. right now. There's actually a lot going on. Voting here in the Senate tonight, then heading home to our great state for a few days, and I have heading out for a week of Marine Corps duty. But to the activities in Washington, first, you've probably seen it, but a lot of focus on oversight as it relates to the foreign policy fiasco that we've had in Afghanistan. We've had a number of hearings on the Armed Services Committee for the last couple weeks, about 10 hours with the generals and the Secretary of Defense last week. We will continue to seek answers and, importantly, what I've been asked for, accountability, accountability, accountability. This is a fiasco, in my view, that could impact us negatively for years and years to come, and we need to be focused on it. Second, we're voting tonight on raising the debt limit. I'm going to oppose that. As a matter of fact, I believe every Republican senator is going to oppose that in their vote tonight. And in many ways, it relates to the third thing that's been happening here in the Senate, the debate over the Democrats' $3.5 trillion. It's actually going to be quite bigger than that. Reckless socialist spending bill. Now, those are some pretty strong words, but I believe that this bill, if you look at what's in it, would change our nation in terms of instituting cradle-to-grave European-type socialism forever. It would change our nation, in my view, for the worse forever. There are provisions of the Green New Deal that would shut down resource development throughout our state. There's massive tax increases, but there's likely big tax cuts for some of the richest Americans, if you can believe that. And I believe this legislation, if passed, would dramatically increase and fuel the inflation that we're seeing throughout our country. So I've been fighting this for weeks, this reckless trillions and trillions of dollar spending bill. But here's the thing I've really been asking for: transparency. Bernie Sanders, Senator Sanders, Chuck Schumer are calling this the biggest transformational legislation since the New Deal in the 1930s. And yet, what they won't do is hold one hearing on it. Not one hearing. The markups in the committees, they won't do that at all. This is completely behind closed doors, unprecedented. So what I've been doing is going down to the Senate floor, asking Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats, let's have a debate. Let's put out your vision of what's good for America versus our vision. But for goodness sakes, let's have hearings so the American people can know actually what is in this reckless $3.5 trillion, like I said, it's probably more like $4 to $5 trillion spending bill. And they're not doing that so far. So I want to encourage all of you to encourage them to just hold hearings. I think they're afraid to show the American people what's in the bill. I think they're afraid to show the image if you have hearings in a committee, for example, to have the budget chairman who's a socialist. That's not an insult. That's what Senator Sanders calls himself. And he was the author of this socialist legislation. So I'm going to continue to press. I know Alaskans want me to press on simple transparency. Whether you support this bill, I hope you don't, or are against it, the American people, the Alaskan people have the right to know what's in it. So we will be working harder on this issue, but those are some of the key issues we've been working on in D.C., and we're going to be continued focus on that. But I am very, very focused on trying to make sure this bill, the reckless $3.5 trillion socialist spending bill, does not pass the United States Senate.